Alright, shalom Hebrews, shalom Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Check this out, Hebrews. We be having Hebrews be swearing up and down that they be knowing the history. And this is crazy because when you show these Hebrews outright that is no 10 lost tribes, they still don't have no understanding. That mess is crazy. You know, I've been arguing with Hebrews that's been trying to promote that 10 lost tribe lie, and I'm showing them plain as day that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes and that those are Jewish myths and that Hebrews be pushing Jewish myths. See, the average brother that believe in that 10 lost tribe, the average Hebrew brother and sister that believe in that 10 lost tribe gonna be the Hebrews that believe in the demigod. In the New Testament, they gonna believe in the New Testament. Them gonna be the ones that's gonna believe in that 10 lost tribe mess. You know what I'm saying? Because they are already full of superstitions, mythology, and all kind of stuff combined. You know, they believe in all kind of old wicked stuff. A God's son came to save, but yet we still doing the curses, and we done been through all the curses the prophet Moses said we Hebrews would go through. You know, that mess crazy. But you got some Hebrews that swear up and down that they know the history, swear up and down what they say is correct. And then when you show them the history and show them that they wrong and that mess is Jewish history that they pushing, then they still can't see and still don't want to recognize. What we gonna do with these Hebrews like this when the time come? Because we can't afford to be misled when our captivity ends. We can't have these Hebrews walking around pushing these lies. That's what the Israelite Brotherhood is trying to show, some correct history that's easy to understand. And it's easy to understand, Hebrews, that it never was any 10 lost tribes and that our enemies created them myths. See, our enemies did trade in a lot of lands. They did trade in a lot of lands. And our enemies who constructed that 10 lost tribe myth been had civilization before we was even Hebrew Israelites. They had civilization 2,500 years. That's like being in America 500 years 5 times. You see what I'm saying? Them people who constructed that lie is crafty, and they've been deceiving the world for a long time. But it's coming to an end now. It's coming to an end now. You don't have to go walk around pushing these lies. In the majority of the Hebrews that push these lies, identity is in that lie and it's all false. And when they go to the people that it matter, going to the Jews trying to push their heritage, man, they fold up and get tossed up, and them Jews laugh at them. See, I got some history that they ain't gonna laugh about, that they gonna start to cry. They gonna start to cry when they realize that everybody's starting to understand this. You know, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Okay, Hebrews, it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. It wasn't no 10 lost tribes, and you can see this easily. King Hezekiah was kind of like coming towards the end of the Assyrian captivity, and he even state that, you know, we escaped the Assyrians, and then he go off to name the tribes. This is around about 17 BC, and then he go on to name the tribes, and then they still in the land, and he even sent a letter throughout our whole inheritance, and everybody's still there. So, you know, it never was any 10 lost tribes, you know. And then if you go look and research the Tanakh and do some, you know, some research, you'll see that, you know, it plainly show you there wasn't no 10 lost tribes. And then this, what really kills the 10 lost tribe myth, is King Josiah was a prophecy king. King Josiah was a prophecy king going all the way back to Jeroboam days, around about 931 BC, when they made the prophecy about him. And then he came, and then it come to pass. And he was born around about 631 BC. He cleaned up the whole Israel around about 640 BC. 640 BC, he done cleaned up all the tribes. And then all the tribes not mentioned during King Josiah, during King Hezekiah time, gonna be mentioned during King Josiah time. You know, so in King Josiah is way after the Assyrian captivity. The Assyrians were destroyed during King Hezekiah, during King Josiah time. It's like the Creator gave King Josiah time to clean up the Israel, as the prophecy was that was going back to Solomon days, after Solomon's death, and Jeroboam took over. And then the Creator sent that prophet out of Judah to tell Jeroboam what would happen. And then King Josiah fulfilled that. And this is after the Assyrian captivity. This is after the Assyrian captivity. So it never was any 10 lost tribes. If you got the Israelites there, all the tribes there during King Hezekiah time, and then during King Josiah time. If you got the tribes there during King Josiah time, and then they there during Prophet Jeremiah time, then it never was any 10 lost tribes. And then you can see the tribes we ain't mentioned by name. That's like, you know, the our forefathers were our last name. That's like you got the name Smiths, Johnsons, and Jacksons and Browns and all them big plantation last names. Where when we was in the promised land, those our forefathers' name in our inheritance were our original spot where our name come from. That's like, you know, a brother name could be Judah ben Simon. You know, he was from Simon inheritance, and Simon was our last name, and Ephraim and Manasseh, and you know, those were our last names. But when we were driven off the land during the Babylonian wars, and when we was driven into Judah inheritance, we didn't use our last names no more, and we became one people, like Prophet Ezekiel said when he showed those 12 sticks, held 12 sticks up, and the Creator told him to combine them and make them into one stick. We was going into captivity. We was losing our heritage. We was losing our land. We had broken the covenant. We was going into starting the beginning of our fall that would eventually lead to our captivity, as was done to us in the transatlantic slave trade. But Hebrews are ignorant, and then if you try to tell these old green Hebrews that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes, and then show them, they still don't want to believe. That 10 lost tribe mess gonna be pushed by them camps, them Hebrew camps, those Hebrew camps be pushing Jewish myths. You know what I'm saying? They be pushing Jewish myths in history. You know, camps be pushing Jewish myths and lies because they be, you know, they don't want to study. Some of them guys probably peeped that it was no 10 lost tribes, and they pushing that 10 lost tribe doctrine because it's profitable to them. But this is how you know it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. If you go to Second Chronicles, we're gonna be dealing with King Hezekiah. And then King Hezekiah, you know, he was at the end. His son Manasseh was taken to Babylon by the Assyrians. And then he was released and came home. His son would be Amon. The Israelites still there. And then King Josiah cleaned up the whole northern and southern kingdom, as was the prophecy. So it never was any 10 lost tribes, and anybody pushing that mess is telling a lie. Like I say, you know, you got Hebrews that's ignorant, real ignorant, and no matter what you show them, they still don't want to acknowledge the truth. You know, that's just how we is. And we was in that same state of mind, that same ignorant state of mind. We was in the promised land. They got us driven out. into the captivity that we in today. But look, Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of the Elohim at Jerusalem to keep the Passover and the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel. For the king had taken counsel him and his princes and all the congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the 2nd month, for they could not keep it at that time because the priests had not sanctified themselves sufficiently, neither had the people gathered themselves together. And the thing pleased the king and all the congregation, so they established a decree and made proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to the house should come to keep the Passover unto the Elohim at Jerusalem, for they had not done it of long time, such sort as it was written. So he sent the letter. He sent the letter from Beersheba all the way to Dan. Now I got plenty of videos showing this. It's just amazing how Hebrews can be so ignorant after you show them the truth, and then they still don't want to acknowledge the truth. I don't know what we're going to do with y'all if this country collapse and we start to be gathered and be among ourselves because you pushing them wrong doctrines and trying to mislead the people. Something going to have to happen to you. I believe this verse is showing that the Creator going to cleanse us and get rid of the rebellious people to truth. Plain truth that you can see. The Creator going to purge you out. Look. From Beersheba all the way to Dan, King Hezekiah sent the letter that they should come to the Passover dinner. So, we know the Syrian captivity, it ain't happened if everybody's still there. Alright? And then King Hezekiah sent the letter, and then he said this: so the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that are escaped out of the hands of the king of Assyria. Now, he said that we escaped out of the hands of the king of Assyria, and it makes sense, because how the Assyrians gonna pull up knowing that we got watchmen that'll sound a trumpet, that the enemy coming there to give people a chance to run and hide. And then it don't make no sense for the Assyrians to take the people, the women and kids and so forth, and then got to march them all the way back from right here to over here. This was the Syrian Empire in northern Iraq and western Syria, but in the last part during the satire, it extended all the way into Egypt. You see what I'm saying? So the Assyrians, man, it wasn't no long way, and we would have some watchmen. We would have some folks looking with some trumpets and some horns blowing them, because the enemy, you know what I'm saying, is coming. And Prophet Ezekiel even state that, we function like that, and that, that if the enemy came and took you away after the trumpet was blown, then it's on you. You see what I'm saying? And then it's your fault that you got snatched up. You see what I'm saying? All right, here it is right here. Prophet Ezekiel, this was during the Babylonian wars, and they was the first to get taken, and Israel was around during this time, because he even say so. And the word of the Elohim cometh to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he bloweth the trumpet and warn the people, then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and take not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. You see what I'm saying? His blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the trumpet, he heard the sound of the trumpet, and took not warning. His blood shall be upon him. But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. So then that had to happen during the Assyrian times, when King Hezekiah said that we escaped the Assyrians, because we had folks with some trumpets blowing, saying, hey man, them folks coming, they coming, and everybody gonna take off. You see what I'm saying? So, this was after that. And then King Hezekiah said that we escaped. And then he go on to name all the tribes that escaped. You know what I'm saying, as you're reading, because he inviting us to the Passover dinner. He trying to get us right. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been sinning on Egyptian religion. We was all messed up. The Sephardims was placed in our land. The Sephardi Jews, man, the enemies we didn't drive out. The Syrians was taking us to go help them fight them Scythians that was up in the Caucasus Mountain. I got videos going into all this here. You see what I'm saying? You Hebrews are ignorant because I'm showing you clear, plain history. Look, check this out. All right. So we know King Hezekiah say that we escaped, and we know that them folks done heard the trumpet, and they done got on down and got past that area. But look, so the post passed from city to city throughout the country of Ephraim, Manasseh, even unto Zebulun, that they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Now this 7 years after the 7 Assyrian captivity. This is in 715 BC. And also in Judah the hand of the Elohim was given them a heart to do the commandment of the king. You know what I'm saying? They came, but the one from the northern kingdom laughed and made fun of them. Nevertheless, the verse of Asher and Manasseh and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. But some of them was making fun. Go to show you that the Syrian captivity didn't mean nothing. And then as you read on down, you will see it says, for a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim, Manasseh, Ashkar, Zebulun had cleansed themselves, yet did they eat the Passover, otherwise that it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying that the good Elohim pardon everyone. Look, and all the congregation of Judah, and the priests and the Levites, and all the congregation that come out of Israel, and the strangers that come out of the land of Israel. But as you read, you'll see that the tribes were still there. And then the tribes not mentioned during Hezekiah time gonna be mentioned during King Josiah time. And King Josiah is a prophecy king. You see what I'm saying? He is a prophecy king, and then it's a known fact that the Assyrian captivity was over with. Assyria was destroyed in 612 BC by the Babylonians. You see what I'm saying? The Creator was giving King Josiah the time to clean the kingdom up, like the prophecy go back to Solomon times when Jeroboam put that Egyptian religion on us. You see what I'm saying? But look, and then I'm gonna show that. Look, Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 130 years, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Elohim, and walked in the ways of David his father, and neither declined to the right hand or to the left. For in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the Elohim Yah his father, David. And in the 12th year he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places and groves and the carved images and the molten images. They break down the altars of Balaam in his presence, and the images that were on high above them he cut down, and the groves and the carved images and the molten images he break in pieces and made dust of them, and stole it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed to them. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon their altar, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. And so did he in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simon, even unto Naphtali with their mattucks round about. Those gonna be the tribes Simon and Naphtali that wasn't mentioned during Hezekiah time, which show you that all the tribes were still there. Because if the tribes there doing King Hezekiah time, then they're gonna be there doing King Josiah time. Look, and when he had broken down the altars and the groves, and beaten the graven images into powder, and cut down all the idols throughout all the land of Israel, he returned to Jerusalem. See, this prophecy about him, gonna go all the way back to Solomon time. You know what I'm saying? When Solomon time, after Solomon died, and then Jeroboam had took over. And behold, there come a man of Yah. This is in 931 BC. And 300 years later, King Josiah was born, and he cleaned up all Israel after the Assyrian captivity. So Israel was still there. And behold, there come a man of Yah out of Judah, by the word of the Elohim unto Bethel. Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense, and he cried unto the altar in the word of the Elohim, and said, O altar, altar, this saith the Elohim, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name. Upon thee shall he burn the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burned upon thee. And he did that, and that's what he was doing right here when I read. And all the tribes was there. You see what I'm saying? All the tribes was there, and he even mentioned the tribes that wasn't mentioned during his great-grandfather time. And then as you read, now in the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land and the house, he sent Shaphan. You know what I'm saying? They even fixed a temple, and you know, they gathered money from all Israel to fix the temple and stuff, you know. And man, everybody was still there. And then as you read, you know what I'm saying, and then get to the last part, say, and Josiah took away all the abomination of the countries that pertained to the children of Israel, and made all that was present in Israel to serve, even to serve the Elohim the year. And all his days they departed not from following after the Yah, their father. So them Israelites was there. Them Israelites was there after the Assyrian captivity. They was there after the Assyrian captivity. You see what I'm saying? So you can't push that lie and say that the Hebrews was gone during Assyrian times when they was there after the Assyrian times, during King Josiah time. And then if you read prophet Jeremiah, you'll see that he was around during King Josiah time. So he gonna be still dealing with the same Israelites. You know, prophet Jeremiah gonna be dealing with the same Israelites. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. And that's how our enemies like that 10 lost tribe doctrines. Our enemies like that 10 lost tribe doctrine, because they've been telling that 10 lost tribe doctrine for a long time. You see, look, to whom the word of the Elohim came in the days of Josiah, the son of Amon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. You see what I'm saying? So prophet Jeremiah was there during King Josiah times. You see what I'm saying? Prophet Jeremiah was there during King Josiah time. So he's still dealing with Israel. It's just that we was being driven off the land. We was being driven into the southern kingdom because the Babylonians was coming. And the Babylonians was chasing us up off the land because we said we wanted to do the Egyptian religion, and we all went into Africa. But it never was any 10 lost tribes. And that's how them heathens been pushing that lie, because that's how they been in control of our heritage. Alright, shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. The camps be pushing Jewish myths and lies, and the Hebrews that follow the camps that believe in that New Testament gonna fall into that category. And some of them ain't gonna wake up, and some of them gonna get purged by the Creator when the time comes, because you can't go back to the promised land believing in the Jewish myths and believing in their Jewish history and stuff. And that's where that 10 lost tribe mess come from. The Jews created that mess because they made Jews all around the world, and then they used that 10 lost tribe myth to cover it up. You see what I'm saying? Alright, shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood.